What's up everybody, and welcome back to the Silicon Obian YouTube channel where we're all about things tech. Well, just wanted to put out a little video talking about the latest big news in the tech industry. That is the release of the long-awaited AMD Zen, also called the Ryzen processor line. Recently, AMD released the R7 1700, 1700X, and 1800 Ryzen processors, each with 8 cores, but because of SMT, simultaneous multi-threading, were capable of executing 16 threads at a time. Desktop application performance was fantastic and is fantastic, and rivaled or beat Intel processors costing significantly more. Another advantage is AMD have moved over to a unified AM4 socket for all upcoming new CPUs. Also, there were 2 chipsets available at launch. The X370, which is more enthusiast-oriented, which supported not only NVIDIA's SLI, but also AMD's Crossfire. And the B350 chipset, which supports Crossfire, but drops support for NVIDIA SLI. All in all, a great processor, lower power requirements, much more so than the older FX series chips, and a vast improvement all around. The best thing AMD's done in approximately 10 years. But there's a downside. The biggest issue was gaming performance. But is it really an issue? Frame rates in the vast majority of titles with capable graphics cards were well above playable levels. Also, AMD kept stating that with optimizations, given Ryzen's new architecture, things would get a lot better in the future. Well, the voice of the hardcore gamers out there basically stole the narrative, and Ryzen was declared by some to be a failure and others to be a success. Well, which was it? In my opinion, Ryzen is a success. Why is that? I'll put it out there with a few caveats of my own. The reason Ryzen has suffered in any way, shape, or form, and I can't say that it's suffering too much, but if it has, it's due to AMD's own marketing. When you market something as the second coming, it better be the second coming. AMD released Ryzen too soon, in my opinion. They could have waited another 2-3 months, or what they could have done is paid more attention to their board partners and others and optimizations and get those done behind the scenes prior to Ryzen's release. Well, hindsight is always 20/20. Ryzen is here, and AMD is working round the clock to make sure that the proper optimizations for their new architecture and CPU lines come in, as this April 11th, the Ryzen 5 series of CPUs will become available in retail. That all being said, what do you mean by optimizations? Well, here it is. Presently, if you look at a lot of the reviews out there, there's a lot of controversy, to put it mildly, with respect to Ryzen's gaming scores. What I've seen is that a lot of times when you look at the actual CPU core usage, the Ryzen CPU core usage is much lower than that of the equivalent Intel processor. Yet, the Ryzen is very competitive with the Intel processor. But in some games, such as, well, if I should put it out there, such as Tomb Raider, for example, the latest one, there's a wide disparity between the performance of the Ryzen processor and the Intel i7 7700K, for example. Why is this? Well, think about it this way. Stardock, who released Ashes of the Singularity, which is a very wildly popular game, not just for gamers but also for benchmarkers, recently came out with a patch where they spent a comparatively small amount of time actually concentrating on Ryzen optimizations, and they achieved up to 30% increase in performance. In their own post, they've stated that while they've spent hundreds, if not thousands of man-hours optimizing for Intel's processors, they've spent a comparably small amount of time optimizing for Ryzen. and yet they've achieved this incredible feat. So where does that leave Ryzen? Well, it leaves Ryzen still with a lot of promise. A lot of promise. If more optimizations can be done in software to help utilize the new architecture of Ryzen, I can foresee that Ryzen will soon catch up with respect to gaming. But remember, when it comes to desktop applications, in particular content creation, Ryzen is very far ahead. Yet the narrative was taken or stolen by a comparably small group of PC users, which are hardcore gamers. Okay, motherboard situation. I have noticed that many Ryzen motherboards are in and out of stock. It just seems that it's very difficult to get the boards, some of the nicer boards that have been announced, and when they do come in stock, they're out of stock very quickly. So supply is an issue, at least from where I'm looking at this. That being said, the boards also came out with very immature BIOS updates, and this, I have to put it on AMD. They have not been very quick to put out the microcode improvements necessary for the BIOS writers to get the job done and to do a better support, give better support for Ryzen in the latest BIOS releases. Also, some board manufacturers are better than others at actually implementing those updates in their own BIOS releases for their boards. So we see the wheat and the chaff being separated here, and the next coming weeks will tell for sure. AMD has promised a lot of upgrades and big changes happening in April with respect to microcode releases, software optimizations and whatnot, and we can only hope that this happens quicker or sooner rather than later. Mostly because I'm not exactly the most patient person. But that being said, in essence, what I'm trying to say is Ryzen, to me, is a success, but a guarded one at the moment. But it can only go up from here. I have not seen the announced mini ITX boards that were coming out with the other Ryzen chipsets. Those are set for later in the year anyways. I believe what AMD is trying to do is just, get their both feet in the water, tread water, and then start to swim. The release was not the smoothest out there, and they know this. And they're trying around the clock to make sure that things are better for their CPU release. Now, let's move on to integration. What issues also are there with the motherboards? Memory compatibility issues abound with Ryzen motherboards at the moment. This has improved dramatically recently, given the new microcode that was released, and board manufacturers have implemented this, but there's still a ways to go. What else? You can talk about performance variations based on UFI bias implementations and whatnot. You can talk about a lot of different things, but folks, this is a new architecture, a new platform. AMD's bet the farm on this, and this is a platform that's going to be around not for a week, a year, or 2 years. This is a platform that's going to be around for a while, the AM4 platform, and I believe it can only get better. In a future video, in a week or two, I hope to be showing a build video, which I haven't done in a while, for my own Ryzen build. I have purchased the CPU, which is the 1700, and I'm going to be showcasing that in a video in this channel. So that's about it. That's pretty much what I have to say about Ryzen, or Ryzen as you can call it. If you want to leave some comments, observations, please don't hesitate and leave them below. Let's keep growing this channel and making it better. And if there's some suggestions that you have for me, please post them in the comment section down below, and I will try my best to get to them. So thanks a lot for watching, and I look forward to your comments, and I look forward to bringing you my Ryzen build really soon. I'm very excited about it. More excited than I've been in quite a while about anything in the computer world. I'd love to get this done, and want to make you part of it by making a video, and also look forward to reviewing other things as well. We have some headphone reviews, in-ear monitor reviews from the likes of FiO and Yamaha. We have a FiO EX1 Mark II, which I have purchased for myself, which I'd like to put a review about, and a few other things. So we're getting there. We're going to grow the channel. We're going to make it a lot better. Take care, everybody, and thank you so much for watching. See you soon.